So we will be taking a goodwill message from one of the women who broke barriers, who broke boundaries. You might not understand what I'm telling you about, but I'll give you a little bit of that. Now, this woman founded West Africa's leading communication services and network solution provider that built West Africa's first privately owned open access 7,000 kilometer undersea high capacity cable submarine. Now, she is an experienced telecommunications executive who came back to Nigeria in 2005 as the chief technical officer of MTN after staying over there in the United States for 20 years. She has a first degree in electrical engineering from the Africa's most beautiful campus. Who knows that? The Great Ife, Obafemi Awolowo University. And she has a master's degree in electrical engineering from Columbia University, New York. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the founder and CEO of Main One, Miss Funke Opeke.
Good morning, all the ladies in the house, and good morning to the men who are supporting us also. It's really a pleasure to be here with Uzemi Foundation. And we were launching Uzemi how many months ago? Yes, and it's really a pleasure to see how it is coming together and being able to participate in this kind of program. Thanks to the MC for the very kind introduction. As I was coming over and I thought goodwill message, what can I say to women aspirants in tech, women accomplished in tech with places still to go? And I thought really I should say to everyone in the house that you need to dare to be. And, you know, being a woman in tech for me started with my journey at Obafemi Awolowo University, where I was the only female in my class, graduated undergrad, date me a little bit, in 1981. But, you know, having to deal through those years with all the men and, you know, fight for my own rightful place and show that what they could do, I could do, started teaching me about the journey and really preparing me for the journey I had ahead. Of course, I hope in most of our engineering classes today, our engineering programs, women are better represented. I finished OAU, completed my national service, and then I went on to Columbia University in New York, where I pursued a master's degree also in electrical engineering. And technology was revolutionizing the world. Data communications was starting to take off, and I felt I had some things to learn. I finished. It was a difficult time in Nigeria, structural adjustment, and I felt I should stay back. I had the opportunity to get some experience. So I did stay back. And I stayed in the United States for almost 25 years, where I progressed my career. And my last position before I returned, indeed, was as an executive director of Verizon Communications. Now, things were also changing in Nigeria. We now had democratic rule. Telecommunications was liberalized, and I really felt I could apply the skills I had acquired in Nigeria. And I think for women in the house, women in tech today in Nigeria, we have that kind of fertile ground as well, where a lot is changing in our society. Digital transformation is upon us, whether we like it or not. And so there's a role that we can play in this growing ecosystem where technology is a part of all of our lives. So I returned to Nigeria in 2005 as the Chief Technical Officer of MTN. And I did that just very briefly, but I found after being gone for 25 years, I really wanted to impact in not just in a private sector way, but fill the gaps. And MTN was really doing well with mobile already. We were the leader, but we did not have good infrastructure. And even working for MTN, we were always looking for connections across the country and across the world, because mobile and the last mile to reach the end user was the primary focus of a mobile telecommunications company and the license that they had. So I stepped out and we said, well, let's try to privatize Nitel. From that, I better understood some of those infrastructure gaps. One of them being, how do we connect Nigeria with other parts of the world? How do we connect Africa with other parts of the world? We were primarily using satellite and a government cable. And so I decided, based on my experience with Verizon, of course, private sector companies build this kind of cables in other parts of the world, and we can build a cable, and that led to the founding of Main One and the raising of capital to make it happen. I think one of the best thing for me to give in this goodwill message is to share that story and my story, so people can relate and see that, born of Nigeria, bred in Nigeria, educated out of Nigeria, and acquiring the skills along the way to make a difference to Nigeria, daring to be. What have I learned along that journey? First, in every situation, do the best you can. You can't always do everything, and you can't do everything perfectly, but a commitment to excellence in everything you do, to learning from every experience, even if it's not the most fruitful experience for you, but finding what you can learn, what you can give, what you can take from every situation does go a long way over time. Enjoy the successes and move on from the setbacks. People look at people like myself and think you've never had setbacks in your career. And that could not be true. There were times at Verizon where I had extreme difficulty with people I was working with, and I had to move from one department to another. And even early on when I was working with Honeywell, and also when we did the privatization of Nitel, it was not successful. So, but you move on. You learn from those setbacks, what happened, why it did not work, and you figure out what you need to do, but you don't let it pull you back. And especially as women, sometimes we're quick to say, I'm not able because something did not go well. The second thing I have learned is you cannot have it all. You manage by prioritizing, but don't think if you're not doing everything at the same time perfectly well, you're not being successful. Because as women, we have responsibilities. We have responsibilities to family, to society, to church, to our careers. And sometimes, it's just difficult to do everything perfectly well. You have to learn moment by moment to prioritize what it is for today that I have to do. Do the best you can, leave the rest behind, and pick it up again tomorrow. I always say tomorrow is another day. And so what I've also learned is be true to yourself. You can only run your own race. You can't run somebody else's race. And I would say to all the women here today, as you run that race, dare to be yourself. Dare to be the very best you can. I think this is a wonderful opportunity to learn, to network, to improve your skills, to get mentored and take full advantage of it. The sky is the limit. Thank you very much and congratulations. Women equipped with the right skills in STEM and in this world that is very rapidly digitally transforming have all the opportunity to be leaders in the tech society. a lot of women rely on the stereotypes and share away from these kinds of careers. But these careers, as we're seeing from the people on the panel speaking this morning, can become and indeed do become leaders in the technology world. So, but women have to take the step. They have to lean in, acquire the necessary skills, pursue the career opportunities, and truly the sky is the limit. This is a wonderful initiative. It's a wonderful initiative also that this forum is being held in Ikorodu, which is a great catchment area for a lot of young women to learn about technology, to gain exposure to technology leaders who they may not naturally come across in their community, and to know that there is opportunity in technology for them as well. This is a brilliant initiative. The number of women participating is, and the diversity in terms of the women participating is quite impressive.